Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about change and the link between the brain and change. So anything that we repeat over time becomes a habit. Now, many of us have lots of habits, for example, brushing our teeth, driving to work or walking to the station. Anything that you do on a daily basis is an accumulation of what you've been doing for a long period of time. So by repeating the same thing every day, over time, that becomes a habit. The reason why it becomes a habit is because the brain starts to store the repetition. So each time you repeat that behavior, the brain creates a system, and we call this in psychology neural networks. So each time you do something new, your brain starts to create a storage system, and that happens in the form of codes. So let's say each kind of behavior has its own unique code. So over time, that storage system starts to accumulate those codes through that repetition of the behavior, and that behavior then becomes a habit. And this is why change can sometimes be very difficult, because in order to kind of create a new storage system in the brain, you need to keep repeating that behavior. Now, the thing what I see with lots of people is that people will start to kind of feel quite deflated. They feel like they're not doing the right thing. And, they start to give up hope when they start something new. And this can happen like between a week or 2 weeks, even up to a month. Now, what I say to people is that you need to give yourself enough time to kind of enable the brain to create these codes. And those codes then lead to systems. Now, in order for that to happen, we need to take things slowly. So for each code, there needs to be that kind of slow pace in terms of not only its repetition, but repetition over, let's say, a period of time. So what the evidence shows, and as I've said in my previous videos, it can take up to 3 months for the brain to actually store something as a new habit. Now, the other thing is that not just slowing down, but it's creating that awareness. So the awareness of what it is you're trying to change, and why you're trying to change it, and really bringing that to the forefront, because awareness creates change. When you are aware of something that either you're not too happy with or you want something to be different, remembering that actually can really help you to make the right decisions, and again, to create that repetition. The other thing is that when it comes to the brain and habits is that, that awareness, has to be done consciously. So by that, I mean, it needs to be done in the here and now. And by doing that, it ensures that you're kind of acting in line of what it is you want to do, what it is you want to achieve. And the other thing is that it takes time and patience. And I think this is where I see people kind of really struggle, is that they don't give themselves enough time to kind of show up on a daily basis or every few days to kind of create that repetition, create that consistency, which in time helps the brain to kind of really store this new habit. Because once that happens, the brain starts to recognize the behavior. It starts to become more familiar with what it is you're trying to do. Now, one thing to remember again about the brain is that it loves familiarity, it loves safety. So by doing something over a period of time, not only creates that familiarity, but it also creates that safety zone in the brain. So the brain will be like, yes, I remember this. Yes, this is what you need to do. And it helps you to actually do it. Another way to look at this is that coding is like a faint sketch. So imagine you're kind of creating a sketch really lightly with a pencil. But the more and more you go over that sketch, the kind of darker and stronger that image becomes. And that is the same when it comes to the brain and the coding system of a new behavior. So remember, change is not easy. It is in fact really hard. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because the brain is efficient. And by repeating the behavior that you want to become a habit, it helps the brain become more efficient because you are helping the brain to create that coding system, to create those neural networks that helps you to do that new behavior more easily. So I hope you found this video useful. If you haven't already, then please hit the subscribe button, and thank you again for watching.